Hey everyone, Scott with Scottman. We're here to do a driving video today. We're heading south on I-75 here, the northernmost part of the Lower Peninsula of Michigan. We're here in Mackinaw City, and in this video we'll be heading south from Ignace Street, or just south of the Mackinac Bridge. I'll probably put in the title Mackinac Bridge, though. And we're going to head all the way to M-32 over in Gaylord, Michigan. So it is a beautiful morning out right now. My car thermometer is reading 63 degrees Fahrenheit. Convert that to Celsius, it's around like 17 degrees. So very nice out this morning. And this exit right here, this is the very beginning of US Highway 23. And it'll take you all the way down to the southeastern part of the United States. And US Highway 23 runs along the shores of Lake Huron from Mackinaw City, going all the way back down toward the Standish area as it goes through communities like Alpena, Tawas City, East Tawas, Harrisville, Rogers City, and then of course ends up in Standish before it rejoins I-75. Yep, so we're start off the video in Emmett County, Michigan. Now it just enters Sheboygan County, Michigan. We should have a very nice drive because I'm filming this on a Tuesday morning, so it should be smooth sailing compared to if I was coming back on a Sunday. So as a matter of fact, just a little bit before I filmed this video, I filmed a video going south on the Mackinac Bridge. I realize I have not done one on going south on the bridge yet. I already have a video going north, but I realized I needed to film a video going south because I was up in St. Ignace for the early part of the week. So I took a couple days off from work just to go up to like the Mackinac Island, and it was perfect timing because the weather was fantastic, especially for Mackinac Island. So with the driving video here, this is the last stretch I have to film going south on I-75 in the Lower Peninsula of Michigan. I still got to do the stretch in the Upper Peninsula. Maybe sometime in 2025 I might do a little trip up to Sault Ste. Marie, where then I can film the last stretch up in the Upper Peninsula. So this exit here, this is the exit for US Highway 31, which that goes along the shores of Lake Michigan on the west side of the state. And this is where US Highway 31 officially begins, and then it heads all the way down also to the southeastern part of the United States. So if you were to take 31 down, you'll go through many different communities, like first Pellston, then you go down toward Petoskey, then down toward Traverse City, then to Manistee, Ludington, Pentwater, Silver Lake, Michigan, then down to Muskegon, Whitehall, Montague, Grand Haven, Holland, Saugatuck, Douglas, South Haven, and then it meets up with I-94 briefly near Benton Harbor and St. Joseph, and then it heads due south toward Niles and then going into Indiana. But if you're not going along the shores of Lake Huron or Lake Michigan, you'll generally continue south on I-75, like what we're doing right now. And we're not going to be able to see it because we're going south, but if you were to drive north on I-75, right in this stretch, this is where you would see the towers for the Mackinac Bridge for the very first time going north. And that's how you'll know that you have made it to Mackinac. And yeah, there's going to be some stretches here and there, like this one coming up, where we're going to get a little bit of sun glare. So I do apologize in advance for some potential sun glare. It's like the only way I'd be able to avoid showing sunlight at all is if it was cloudy out. And it's like I could film at night, but the GoPro does not do very well in low light. whether one of the darker GoPro or one of the newer GoPros can handle dark light, that I don't know. I know DJI does make its own action camera, which I'm sure has like a dashboard mount like this one, where that could be a better option if I want to do some stuff more like at night or even like in the twilight hours. Because I have the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 camera, and that does really well with low light. So I know like DJI makes really good cameras, so there is a possibility I could, if I were to buy a successor to this GoPro, I could go the DJI route, but I'd have to do some research on that, whether I go that route or if I stick with GoPro. So as you can tell right now, they're doing some road construction on I-75. They're making new pavement for both sides of the freeway. They've already completed the northbound lanes. They worked on that last year, I believe, or maybe they did that earlier this year. And now they're doing the southbound lanes. So yeah, we're technically driving in the northbound lanes right now, but this won't last for a ton of time. And then we'll be back over on the other side. So currently I am heading home after having a nice little quick weekend getaway, although it's like a weekend getaway, but in reality it's from like a Sunday to a Tuesday. And I did that because hotel rates are a lot cheaper going in the morning. I mean, going in the early part of the week compared to the weekend. And while I was still busy in Mackinac Island, or on Mackinac Island, it probably would have been even busier if I would have gone on the weekend. Although it did rain on Saturday, so it's hard to say. It looks like they're kicking up some dust up ahead. Thankfully, it's mostly on the other side. Maybe it's the wind, because I don't see anybody working over here. But now we're heading back into the proper southbound lanes because we just got out of the work zone. Anyway, so I had a really great time. So I first stopped in at Mackinaw City on Sunday. It was a little on the cloudy side, but at least it was pretty nice though, where I got to stop at Scalawags Fish and Chips for lunch and then check out the Old Point Lighthouse over at Mackinaw City. It was always cool to go up in the light tower there. And then I went over to Colonial Michilimackinac, which of course is the reconstruction of Fort Michilimackinac, which was a French and then later turned British fort, which was present back in the 18th century. And it was used by the British until they moved over to Fort Mackinac over on Mackinac Island during the American Revolutionary War, like around 1780, 1781. And then after that, then I got to head across the Mackinac Bridge over to St. Ignace. That's where I stayed for 2 nights, which I had a really nice hotel room because I had a balcony overlooking Lake Huron, and you can see Mackinac Island, and then you got some perfect sunrises. So it's like I didn't even have to leave my room to get that beautiful sunrise. And with the perfect weather, I got to see the sun come up both mornings, yesterday morning and this morning. It was such a delight. So anyway, so I got to walk around downtown St. Ignace for a little bit, even do like a walking tour. Okay, now we're starting to head away from the sun, so this will be a little bit better. walked around downtown St. Ignace filming a walking tour. Got to check out the Wawatam Lighthouse, which is a little small lighthouse over near the marina there. And had lunch at the Mackinac Grill. Had a very large pasty for dinner, which was quite tasty. It's a delicacy up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. And then went over to a roadside park several miles west of St. Ignace along Highway 2 to watch one of the best sunsets you can get in the state of Michigan. Like, it was absolutely spectacular. And over here, this exit here, you can go to the east or going to the left. That'll take over towards Sheboygan, although in all reality, US Highway 23 is the best route to go to Sheboygan if you're coming from the bridge. And there's a little store over to the left with a red roof that's like, it's called Seashell City, where it's like they got a whole bunch of different seashells, I think, for sale there. I've never gone in there just because it's like, why would you buy seashells when you can just travel to the beach, like down at the ocean or something, and pick up a seashell for free? The only exception is if you go like to a national park or any type of national grounds or something where it can be illegal to pick up seashells or anything within a park. But like in a public area, it's usually no problem. But then again, it's like northern Michigan is far away from the ocean, so it's an interesting attraction though. But I can't recommend it, or I cannot recommend it or not recommend it. Or let me reword that. I can't recommend going there or recommend not going there because I've never been there. And of course, once again, a little bit more sun glare, but thankfully not for as long. So that was the first day, and then yesterday I spent the entire day at Mackinac Island, where I took the first ferry over from St. Ignace and went on to Mackinac Island, had breakfast, lunch, and dinner there. So I had breakfast at the Chuck Wagon, where I had a breakfast special there where it was like I had 2 eggs over easy, some wheat toast, hash browns, and 3 sausage links, which was a very nice breakfast to warm up and start the day. So then after breakfast, got to walk around the downtown area, even did a walking tour of the downtown area of Mackinac Island. Got to even check out some of the historic sites as I walked down by. So I filmed that, then I went up to Fort Mackinac, and I got to check out some historic buildings on Market Street, like the Middle House. So that was really cool. And then for lunch, I got to go to the Kingston Kitchen, which is a Jamaican restaurant for some great Jamaican food. I had some coconut curry chicken. It came with a side of red beans and rice and plantains, which was quite good. And it was a restaurant I had been to 5 years ago when I went to Mackinac Island, 5 years ago when I did a travel guide for YouTube. So it was great to go back to a restaurant I previously had been to, and even filmed a one-off video on the Kingston Kitchen, where I think 5 years ago I had their jerk chicken. So this year I decided to go back to get something different. Top-notch food, I have to say. So really enjoyed my meal. And then after lunch, then I rented a bicycle for about 4 hours. So I got to bike around the perimeter of Mackinac Island. So I got to bike on what's called M-183, which is the only state highway in Michigan which you're not allowed to drive on. Because on Mackinac Island, you can't bring personal vehicles over there because they don't allow vehicles over there. The lone exception could be like an ambulance, or I don't even think they even have police cars on the island. Ambulances are allowed, and I think sometimes a truck might be able to come on the island. Other than that, it's just you're just walking, biking, or taking a carriage everywhere. So it's almost like how things were in the late 19th century before vehicles were introduced. So I got to bike around the whole island, which was really cool. Of course, you can look out at Lake Huron on the east side, and on the west side, you can look out the Upper Peninsula, see like St. Ignace, and of course the Mackinac Bridge. And then after that, then I went inland, uphill a little bit, so I got to bike inland in some of the forested areas of the island. And it's pretty cool how as you go further inland, you get to more of the park area of the island, where you have nothing but trees, and you can get away from all the crowds. And there were parts where I was biking in the woods, and I was the only one there, so it felt very peaceful. So it is pretty easy to get away from all the crowds on the island, which was really nice. So then I returned my bike, and then I went to the Pink Pony for dinner, which is another popular restaurant. This restaurant, kind of like the Chuck Wagon, I had never been to before on the island. The Pink Pony had some really good fried whitefish and chips. It was fantastic, almost even better than Scalawags in Mackinaw City. The fish was cooked to perfection, the fries were really good, and the coleslaw was okay, but I didn't go there for the coleslaw. Like if I were to rate the coleslaws I've had in Michigan, I would rate that near the bottom, but it was still enjoyable though. But everything else, like the fish and the fries, were spectacular. So then after dinner, then I went right across the street to Murdoch's Fudge to buy some fudge. I was originally planning to buy 2 slabs of fudge. I got chocolate walnuts, which tasted really good, by the way. But they insisted on me getting a third one, because if I were to buy a third, it was only like 75 cents more. Where it's like, by the weight, it ended up being like, each slab was almost like $14, $15. So it's like I was able to get a third one for only 75 cents. So it's like I could not pass up on that deal. There is no way I'll be able to eat all that fudge though. So I'll be giving it to some people I know, so that way they can enjoy a tasty treat from Mackinac. Because the fudge on Mackinac Island is the perfect souvenir to bring back. It's like if you're walking through the downtown areas of Mackinac Island, there are so many fudge kitchens. Oh, there actually might be some fog coming up ahead. Kind of interesting how there's fog inland while there is no fog at all over at the Mackinac Bridge or over Mackinac Island, which, yeah, I could have been really unlucky, and it could have been very foggy this morning up there. But yeah, the fog is lingering for quite a while into the morning, because it's a little after 9:30 in the morning that I'm filming this, and fog is lingering around a little bit. So all I can think of is the humidity's got to be rising or something. We must be getting some air coming up from the Gulf of Mexico. Okay, that's starting to clear up a little bit, so that's better. So I got to enjoy a little bit of fudge, and of course just pack up the rest, and it's in my car trunk right now. And after that, then it was time for me to take the ferry back over to St. Ignace, and it's like the ferry ride's always really enjoyable. Okay, the fog is starting to get a little thicker again. So then, yeah, anyway, I took the ferry back over to St. Ignace, and yeah, had a great time on Mackinac Island. It was only I'm 36 years old, and it was my third time ever going to Mackinac Island. The very first time I went, I was 15 years old. My parents and I went up there for like, kind of like a quick trip, just like what I just did. So this exit here, this is M-27. You take that to the northeast, that'll take you back up to Sheboygan. Or you go southwest, and that'll take you over to Indian River. But I think M-27 ends at I-75, and then it goes all the way up to 23 up in Sheboygan. Alright, the good news is that the low clouds and the fog seems to be short-lived because I'm seeing a lot of blue skies up ahead. After that, then I went to check out another sunset over at a sandy beach that's further west, about a few miles. Oh, never mind, there's more fog coming up. Could be coming over from Burt Lake, that's off to the west a little bit. Like a mile to the west of here is Burt Lake. And then you got the Indian River itself coming from the lake, and heads northeast to another lake, which then to Mullet Lake, and then eventually Indian River then continues its way up to Sheboygan and empties out into Lake Huron. And this is the Indian River right here. Okay, and that's the end of the fog. Yay! So this exit coming up here, this is M68. We're not to it just yet, but it's coming up shortly. This will take you east over to Rogers City over on the shores of Lake Huron, so it meets with 23 over near Rogers City. And then M68 going west will take you out toward Petoskey and Harbor Springs, and ends up back at Highway 31. Of course, if you're coming from the Mackinac Bridge, Highway 31 is your better option. And also, if you go west on this exit here, so this is the exit right here for M68. Go west, you'll go over to Burt Lake. There is Burt Lake State Park, which has a very nice swimming beach over there. Get some very nice views of Burt Lake. It's really beautiful over there. I never filmed a YouTube video over there, but I remember coming back from Petoskey a couple years ago, and I made a little quick pit stop at Burt Lake, and it was really beautiful to check out. And it was that same day trip where I then came back down on I-75 and I filmed the driving video going south of M-32 from Gaylord. Exactly what I'm basically what I'm doing right now, but I'm doing the stretch to the north of that. And then I remember when I stopped at Petoskey and also Burt Lake. Oh, speaking of Gaylord, 29 miles to Gaylord, 9 miles to Wolverine, Michigan. So it's like, yeah, I remember when I stopped at Burt Lake, I remember 4 days later, it's like, of course, I did the day trip up to Petoskey, stopped at Burt Lake, and then 4 days later, I flew out to Serbia and then went to Rome, Italy for like I think for a little over a week and a half. Anyway, so getting back to what I was talking about with this trip, though, it's like I got to check out sunset. Because there's a stretch of Highway 2 that's even further west by another few miles from that roadside park I was talking about, where you got a nice sandy beach, and Highway 2 goes right along Lake Michigan. Over at the northern end of Lake Michigan. That's a really beautiful spot. Get some really cool sunset views over there too, which I got to see that last night. And I even decided to take a little dip in Lake Michigan. And during the month of August, it's still pretty chilly in the lake, but it's tolerable to where it's not like you're gonna freeze to death or anything. Because the northern part of Lake Michigan, it's the coldest. It's usually like the coldest spots in the entire lake along the shoreline. It could be even colder in the middle part of the lake where it's deep. But I will say it felt quite refreshing. Got to take a dip and then also watch the sunset. And then went back to the hotel for the night. And there's even like a little meteor shower going on right now over the next couple days or so in real time. So I got to see one, maybe even two shooting stars from the hotel balcony, which that was really cool. Oh, I forgot to mention, the night before, the northern lights were out. So that was really cool. And then I woke up this morning. This time I had breakfast at the hotel. And then before starting my drive back, I stopped over, well, not only to fill up my gas tank, but also I stopped at the Bridgeview Park, which there's a little view of the Mackinac Bridge on the Upper Peninsula side. If you're going to go south on I-75, it's the very last exit before the toll booth to go across the Mackinac Bridge to come back to the Lower Peninsula. There's a little park where you can view the Mackinac Bridge. Great for pictures, even though the towers might be a little far, so you might want to have like a long lens to be able to view it and get like the best photos of it. And also nearby is the Father Jacques Marquette Memorial, which of course goes into history about Father Jacques Marquette, who is a Jesuit missionary and explorer who came over from France to help convert the Native Americans here to Christianity. And he resided in St. Ignace for a while, but then he went off on an expedition down on like along Lake Michigan. This was back in 1773. And he went down the Mississippi River, so he got to discover a lot of different areas along the Mississippi River. He was trying to find a passage to the west, which a lot of explorers back then, like explorers from Europe, were trying to find like routes going west, but he ended up turning around when he found the Arkansas River. Because the Arkansas River flows into the Mississippi River. So it's like, all right, I think I'll just turn around. So he was trying to get back to St. Ignace. However, he unfortunately didn't make it back to St. Ignace. As he was sailing or going through like the eastern part of Lake Michigan, kind of in the area going in between like Frankfort, Michigan, going down to like the Ludington area, he ended up passing away and was buried in an unknown location along the shores of Lake Michigan in the western part of what's now Michigan. Rumor has it that he may have been buried over in the Frankfort, Michigan area. I remember seeing signs over there indicating that he was buried over there, but it's not 100% known or not, so that may have not been the case. But 2 years later, so he died in 1775. Oh wait, I'm sorry, 1675. 1775 was the British were over here. So got all the dates wrong. Sorry about that. I might have to put annotations on there. So in 1673 is when he set off from St. Ignace, and he went set off, eventually went down the Mississippi River. And then he died in 1675. Was buried somewhere along the shores of Lake Michigan on the western side of what's now Michigan. But 2 years later, in 1677, they dug up his body, and, well, pretty much at that time, his skeletal remains. And then he became Skeletor of the He-Man and Masters of the Universe. No, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding about that one. So they buried his skeleton, or they got up his skeleton, and they relocated his body to the area around what's now St. Ignace. On this exit here, you can also go west on this road here. That'll take you over toward, it'll wiggle its way over toward Petoskey. And that's also where the village of Wolverine is. So I'm not sure exactly where he's buried, because they don't show like his gravesite or anything, so I don't know if it's marked anywhere, or if it's at the actual memorial they have there that just maybe it's not officially marked, or maybe there is a plaque that talks about him, so maybe it could be at that spot. So I'm not 100% sure. But his body was relocated to St. Ignace, which in the end I think that's where he would have wanted it anyway, because he wanted to return to St. Ignace, but he was not able to make it back alive. But yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I think he only lived for 42 or 43 years. So I thought I remember seeing he was born in 1632 in France or something, or somewhere around there. And it was the late 1660s when he came over from France, and he came over to Michigan. Or what is now Michigan, like up in like the Upper Peninsula. Oh, they're doing a lot of construction right now, especially on the southbound lanes. I don't recall seeing anything in the northbound lanes. I know Sunday there wasn't really any other than that big area up near Highway 31. So anyway, getting back to what I was talking about, so I visited the memorial. It was only my second time going there. I had previously been there back in 2012 when I did a little road trip to the western part of the Upper Peninsula over to like Marquette, Houghton, Hancock, and Copper Harbor. And then after that, then I crossed back over the Mackinac Bridge, and I took a brief stop over at the view of the bridge, or the Mackinac Bridge over near the lighthouse. I could have done that on Sunday, well, because I wanted to get a photo of myself with the bridge. But the sun was barely out on Sunday, so I went back this morning to get a much better photo since the sun's out in full force. Crossing over the Sturgeon River here. And yeah, over here, if you were to go north on I-75, just north of the Sturgeon River, you get some really cool views too. Like, you can see some of the hilly terrain here in the northern part of the Lower Peninsula. But yeah, it's like I-75 in northern Michigan, or the northern Lower Peninsula of Michigan, anywhere from the Mackinac Bridge, I would say going all the way down toward like the West Branch area, it's a very scenic drive. It's very, very enjoyable. Especially if you're driving here in late September, maybe not late September, but like early to mid-October, you get all the fall colors. It is just amazing. anyway, so I was able to get that picture I wanted, and even got a good photo of the lighthouse since it was cloudy on Sunday, so I couldn't get the best of photos then. So I'm trying to get back over, but it's like there's a car to the right of me who's almost going as fast as I am. So I'm pretty much stuck over here for the moment. Crossing over to Otsego County, which is where Gaylord is located. Oh, okay, I can get back over now. So we probably still got like about 7 to 10 minutes or so left in this video, because we're going to be filming over to M-32, which is in Gaylord. We still got to get past the village of Vanderbilt first. We should be coming up in a few miles. But yep, so yeah, that was the trip, and of course now I'm making my way home. Because I have to go back to work tomorrow, but thankfully I only have a 3-day work week. So it won't feel like it's that long. But it was great. Got to see 2 sunsets and 2 sunrises. That's the cool thing about the Mackinac area, is that you can easily go see the sunrise and the sunset in the same day too, if you're lucky. And yeah, that first day, even though it was cloudy, the clouds eventually did go away, like right after dinner time. So I was able to get a really nice sunset after all. Ooh. Trying to go around some of these scraps of tire or whatever on the road. I had to hit one of the smaller ones, but yeah, the truck in front of me decided to foolishly go over it. So this exit here, this is the exit for the village of Vanderbilt. Yep, so yeah, there's not really any major roads over here, so this is mainly just for Vanderbilt. Although you can easily take a 2-lane highway south of Vanderbilt out to take you straight to Gaylord, like downtown Gaylord. So we should have like several miles to go, and then we'll get to M-32. As I just filled up the gas tank over in St. Ignace, I should be good to get all the way home without having to fill up the gas tank again. Although I will need to stop and get lunch on the way home. When I was up in the Mackinac area, the one thing I still done yet, of all the times I've been up there, is I haven't gone to see the mystery spot that's along Highway 2 that's highly advertised, going up to the Mackinac Bridge, and then, of course, especially once you go across the bridge, you're going west on Highway 2. Because it's like they got this attraction there where it's like everything is almost like it's sideways or slanted. They also have like a miniature golf course. They got zip lines there. I have yet to stop in there, but one of these times I need to go over there. But I look at it this way, it gives me more and more reasons to go back. In summary, I had a really great trip. Well, short trip. Because as you have seen me, it's like I share a lot of travels from all over the world. Of course, I've been all around Michigan, all around the United States. So I've been to 48 states, like every state in the lower 48 or the continental U.S. So I have to visit Alaska and Hawaii. And I've been to almost 20 countries. But of course, every once in a while, it's always great to have a nice little staycation here in Michigan. Although it's kind of funny how my definition of staycation is basically a vacation anywhere in the state of Michigan. Where a lot of people think of staycation as in just staying home and relaxing at home. But yeah, that for a day or two, that sounds really nice. But after a while, it's like I'm itching to get out there. Because, yeah, if you know me, I'm not the type of person that likes to sit around in one place for a very extended period of time, because I'll get severe cabin fever, and I don't know, it's like to be in one place for a very long extended period of time would be, to be honest with you, very depressing. This is the last driving video I'm filming today, and then just have the rest of the way either to listen to music or podcasts. So it should be a nice ride going back. And with this being a Tuesday, traffic should be pretty good all the way, unless there was like a major traffic accident or something. And I'd be riding back in Metro Detroit early afternoon, so it would be well before rush hour. Alright, so about another mile or two we'll be entering the city limits for Gaylord. In fact, we should start to see some of the exit signs for it momentarily. And yeah, way off in the distance on the left, you can see the water tower for Gaylord. So what's cool about Gaylord is that it is the area of the 45th parallel, which is basically the line of latitude, which is halfway between the equator and the North Pole. There are signs for it just to the south of Gaylord. If you go down I-75, they even have signs for it on 23, heading south from Alpena, and then south on 31 as well. I think even 131 over near like the Boyne Mountain area. Yep, and here's the exit sign for M-32. M-32 east goes into downtown Gaylord and eventually heads out toward Alpena over on the Lake Huron side, and then you go west, that'll take you over toward East Jordan over on Lake Charlevoix, And then it ends at M-66, which you can take that northwest along Lake Charlevoix over to Charlevoix, Michigan, over on the shores of Lake Michigan, and where Highway 31 is. All right, so with that, I have now filmed all of I-75 South in the Lower Peninsula. I still got the Upper Peninsula to do. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this video here on I-75 South, going from the Mackinac Bridge over in Mackinaw City all the way over to M-32 in Gaylord, Michigan. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure to click that like button. Don't forget to click that subscribe button so that way you don't miss out any future adventures. Just enter the city limits for Gaylord now. So thank you for watching, and this is Scott, the Scottman signing out here for Gaylord.